Hey up lads and lasses, Damphyre here, back again with some more Infinite Lagrange. So today, carrying on with the Destroyers, I just want to note though quickly, there is a balance patch coming. I haven't got the full details yet, but I know that the Reliant is getting changed. It's the base version, I believe, the Rapid Torpedo Frigate, and I think it's just the anti-ship type is going to get a slight change, but I'm not entirely certain yet because they just said Reliant Rapid Torpedo. Which actually, no, it is the base version. I don't know why they've got, two different names for the same ship. You've got the Rapid Torpedo or the anti-ship type. Make your bloody mind up what you want to bloody call it. I believe it's going to get a damage buff against small targets, so things like frigates and destroyers, so we'll have to see what's going on there. And the other change coming is to cruisers, the Chimera. I believe the base variant of the Chimera, the ballistic type, yeah, it's heavy cruiser, cannon cruiser, yeah, heavy cruiser. I think it's going to be just the A type. It's going to get a slight buff, I believe, and it's going to get a CP decrease to it as well. So that'll be dropping from 18, I don't know what to, probably, I'd hazard a guess it'll be 16 CP. At 16 CP, it should be relatively usable, but I don't know whether you want to drop 2 CP and lose the heavy cannons off the heavy cannon variant anyway. Anyway, back to the Destroyers. So far, Winged Hussar's been done, we've done the Eris, we've done the Quawa, we've done the Tundra and the Guardian. So we have the series left. I haven't done the Winged Hussar yet, actually, sorry. So yeah, we have the Aldebaran, the Taurus, the AC-721, and the Winged Hussar left. Let's do the Taurus, because we've covered the Eris as well, and that was last video, and they fill similar roles in, two variants of the Taurus fill similar roles, and so does the Eris, I guess, as a front row off tank. So the Taurus is, again, like the Eris, one of the best damage dealing ships on the destroyer line for 8 CP. It's pretty decent. I think that's one of the higher costed of the destroyers though. Yeah, 8 CP for the AC-721, the Aldebaran, Guardians are 9. So it's up there a bit. Winged Hussars are 6. So yeah, it's up there in terms of, point cost to CP, but the damage output of it is more than relevant, and does exceptionally well, just dishing out loads and loads of damage. Something to note as well is they actually have, okay AA damage as well, and that's due to the fact that they've got energy weapons, so that energy weapons that do shoot the aircraft are pretty accurate, get the damage off quite well. So they do okay in that role. Again, not a proper dedicated AA ship though, so bear that in mind. It's not going to be a Winged Hussar or anything of that nature. Even a light cone and stuff will outdamage them for the CP cost against air, so don't run them as anti-air. And again, why I didn't include this or the defensive type especially on the anti-air list, because they're not really supposed to be used for AA. They just provide some okay AA coverage, but yeah. So frontline, which means you really do need your armor upgrades and stuff like that, but you'll be happy to know that the Taurus actually has 2 evasion pips you can pick up within the propulsion. So my recommendation first off is grabbing both of these. Unlike the Taurus, we have unfortunately no base evasion just on the model itself, which is a bit unfortunate, but what can you do? But grabbing 16% evasion is better than none, so it does definitely help you out at the end of the day anyway. Grabbing both of those, going into the armor sister, going double HP here will be quite, useful to you. Again, you can leave the physical resistance, come back later, and pick that up, once you've got all your other systems upgraded. Now, my recommendation here first is to go into the energy system first, and pick up the weapon cooldown for 15%, just to make it easy on yourself before you go into its main weapon system. And this is where you can pick up the hit rates first. If you really want to do it optimally, go in and do the hit rates first, then come out, do the cooldown on the energy system, and then go back and do the rest of the upgrades on the main weapon system. So from there on, you want to be picking up cooldowns, both of them, and you can go double damage here. You have a lot of slots to play with on this thing, which is actually really quite nice. So double hit rate, double cooldown, double damage, and you've only used 6 of your, I think it's 8 slots on this thing, or maybe a bit more. Wait, I can just count them, can't I? 2, 4, 6, yeah, it's 8. After that, prioritized firepower isn't particularly very good in my opinion, so I wouldn't recommend using it. And like I mentioned a little bit earlier, it's actually not bad at doing AA damage. So I like picking up precision fire, which increases the hit rate of pulse anti-aircraft weapons by 20% for 60 seconds after the battle starts. This gives you like a full minute to just help burn down some of the nasty fighters and stuff that are flying about, and it may actually help. You know, killing a couple of CVT-800s off with these, or culling off, you know, some Mistrals or something with it, is actually going to be really good, and it's going to actually help your era win the rest of that battle. So really good upgrade in my opinion. It is definitely better than the other strategy. So in my opinion, pick this one up instead. After that, you have a single upgrade left, and take the hit rate against fighters and corvettes. This will give you like a nice amount of damage output, specifically anti-ship first, and then coming back a bit later, grabbing anti-aircraft weapons damage increases as well, and letting it go to town on air and everything else going at it. It does only have counter-attack though, so don't expect it to, you know, sweep an entire row's aircraft off the table. It's not going to do that, unfortunately, but if it does get attacked, it has a way of defending itself, and it does pretty good in that situation. Tauruses also seem to get targeted by aircraft earlier than other ships if they're in the same row, and generally get targeted by ships in the same row before everything else. I normally lose my Tauruses before I lose all my Aeruses anyway. So bear that in mind. That's kind of why you really do need that propulsion system upgrades first for the evasion and the health. After that, come back into the energy system one last time, pick up the increased main pulse cannon damage to get a further 10% damage increase. And yeah, so the damage increase isn't too bad on here. I think it starts off around, I actually don't know because I got it upgraded. I think it's about like 350, 360, somewhere around there, damage per hit. So, you know, picking up double damage here is giving you quite a decent amount, and then a further 10%. Plus, you got a base, you know, 15% damage from the energy system anyway, and that's how this ship just like does so well in like decent damage output. Also, its laser system is pretty damn accurate anyway, especially when picking up double hit rate upgrades, and it will just sort of munch its way through other frigates and cruisers. After that, jumping into the armor system once more, picking up your physical resistance to finish the armor system off, and then coming into your prop system. I haven't unfortunately got this one fully upgraded. I didn't use it for too much this server. It kind of got replaced pretty quickly because we realized the pirates are really, really, really strong. So I tried to shift from destroyer frigate as fast as I could. So I don't have all the TP that I normally have on here from experience. But yeah, same as before, you have 2 slots left. I go warp speed, cruising speed, but feel free to go double cruising speed. Will also help you out. Base version, it is very, very good against frigates, destroyers. It does okay against cruisers and other stuff of, you know, the larger nature, battle cruisers, carriers. They do okay. If you really want, so early game, this is the one you want to use. Mid game, late game, switch it out and drop it in the assault type. Now, the assault type drops pretty much like the evasion entirely, which is a bit of a shame, but you gain a reinforced armor system, so you get a little bit more armor going. You're at 30 base armor here, as you can see, over 28, and that's upgraded. So you get an extra 10 armor. I believe it's also got like a larger HP pool as well, and then its weapon system gets upgraded as well. So we have the large ship prioritize here. We have pretty high damage per hit. Again, this is quite a rapid firing weapon with only an 8-second cooldown and a 4-second lock on. And this will do really well against battle cruisers, and the likes there. So first off, what I would recommend going into is the armor system, picking up the double HP mods. This is gonna, boost that already pretty healthy health pool up way further, and it's just really good, to be honest with you. After that, coming into the main weapon system, we've got no cooldown or anything like that, and ideally, if you are using this mid-game, picking up the energy damage output is just an instant massive damage increase over trying to pick up anything else for, I believe these are like 8 CP for 10% damage, whereas you could come in here and get 35% damage and cooldown when it's attacking a cruiser. So bear that one in mind. If it's early game because you like running double Taurus in fleet, or you didn't want to build the base version for whatever reason early game, even though it's better than this one for damage output against frigate destroyers, my recommendation there is to go double cooldown first and then double damage. You don't have much in the way of, no AA capability on this one, really. It doesn't really do it. You don't have the mod slots like the first one does, so you're kind of limited anyway, but thankfully, some of these are pretty terrible. So going double cooldown, double damage is going to be quite nice anyway. And then picking up the strategy, and then moving over and picking up the hit rate against cruisers and higher class ships. Due to the fact that the lock-on efficiency, it doesn't really do AA as well as the A-type version of it, so I just ignore it anyway, and I'd rather get some extra hit rate out if I could. And the siege damage is kind of null and point. If you're sieging something down, it's probably going to die, so the extra siege damage doesn't really help you out all that much. Jumping over to the energy system, like the other one, it has a 15% flat damage increase, which is just quite nice. But yeah, cooldown first, and then the pulse cannon damage output. And you pump this up to similar sort of damage levels as the offensive type, more so though. And yeah, with the prioritize large, you're going to hit battleships, cruisers, carriers, battle cruisers before you even think about touching frigates and destroyers, which is quite nice. So yeah, assault type, better mid-late game. A-type, better early mid-game. But I have definitely seen fleets of frig destroyer swarm style running both variants, and definitely pretty viable in my opinion. Huge damage output. This one in particular has great damage output against large. Offensive type has better damage output against small. This one has the better health pool and the better base armor, so it can sit there and tank around a little bit better. The defensive type. Now, I actually don't really like this one too much. I forgot the reinforced armor system. You can kind of ignore. It's kind of not very good. Increased main system HP doesn't really matter. Reduces crit damage. You can pick them up if you want. And again, for the props, it's the same as I would with every other one. I'd go warp cruising, or you go double cruising. Up to you. Yeah, but the reinforced armor system doesn't do anything. It's just there because it does add, extra HP. That's the only reason it got put on, really. It's a bit of a shame. You get the extra HP, you get the extra armor. I would have liked to see more armor upgrades in here as well. Because if you come here and you pick up this, you're only going to get an extra 8 armor. It brings you to 38 armor. I'd have loved to have seen this, hover around 50 armor, somewhere around there. That would have been really interesting, and it'd make it quite good against even smaller ships like Frig Destroyer, just because it could tank a little bit better. Anyway, the defensive type, pretty much identical to the assault type, but they decided that you don't need a really good weapon system, so you kind of lose like it's better weapon system that the assault type has, and the offensive type has the better weapon system. You trade that all in for a slightly better ability to deal with air, but even then, it's arguable. I wouldn't even class this as an anti-air ship, to be honest. It's not quite to that level yet, where I recommend this as solely for AA. Going into the armor system first, double HP just to keep the thing around. You don't have any evasion on this as well, same as the assault type, which is a bit unfortunate. As you can see, we're back up to 8 mod slots here, and we have the likes of, once that banner moves out the way, anti-aircraft support, precision firing strats, loads of just like, I really don't want to, see things in the sky anymore sort of stuff. There's also some lock-on and intercept as well. So, first off for me, anti-aircraft support flat out trumps precision firing, unfortunately. Increase hit rate of pulse anti-aircraft weapons by 25% for 45 seconds after the battle starts. It's the same as what's on the A. It'll go up to 60 seconds. Unfortunately, it doesn't have row wide, and if you pick up precision firing, you can't pick up the anti-aircraft support. So it kind of becomes, well, obviously go for the one that gives you, the ability to lock on and attack things in the same row with an increased 40% hit rate. That doesn't happen just once in the battle, but keeps cycling throughout the battle. So yeah, go anti-aircraft support. I'd recommend this as your first pickup again. And then going into, you actually don't need the double hit rate, but you can get the hit rate against fighters and corvettes. It does reasonable damage. You got 402, and it is going to prioritize small ships. But generally, if you're going to use it for small ships, just use the A variant. Don't even consider this. It's just not as good at damage dealing. It's not as tanky, even though it's got the extra HP, because it doesn't have the evasion. So yeah, in my opinion, the Taurus defensive is just worse than the A version. Anyway, anti-aircraft support, hit rate, go for one of the cooldowns, and you can either go double damage here, but what I like to do is switch over, grab the intercept first, because that just helps out, because that gets row-wide intercept, which is actually really quite nice. And then you can go double damage after that. You've got a lot of slots to play with. Like I said earlier, you got 8 slots. So even if you go strategy, hit rate, cooldown, double damage, you still have 3 slots to play around with. In which case, you pick up the anti-missile enhancement for the intercept. That brings you to 7. And then, personally, probably the anti-aircraft recognition here. The lock-on efficiency isn't terrible at 60%, but improving it, why not? It just makes sense. This thing does really, really well against aircraft. I say really, really well. It's no winged hussar, but it's mediocre against aircraft. You might as well just try and buff it up to deal with the aircraft as best as you can, because in my opinion, there's no point running this one over the A variant for anti-frigate or anti-destroyer, and for the B variant, well, that's just better at anti-cruiser than this will ever be as well. After that, jumping into the energy system, cooldown, damage increase, as per usual. The reason you don't go and pick this up like you do like the previous ones is this only affects the main weapon system, which is, I believe, it only actually affects, from testing, was the cannon system, because we didn't actually notice any increased anti-aircraft damage when I tested picking those upgrades. So yeah, we think it only actually affects the experimental pulse turret and not the anti-aircraft pulse, even though they're both in the main weapon system, which is kind of confusing because you'd think they'd buff everything, but they don't. Reinforced armor system is the same as before. You can completely choose to leave it. It doesn't actually add much to the ship whatsoever. And propulsion system, same as always. Warp speed, cruise speed for me, personally, Although, if you fancy it, go for double cruising speed. It's completely up to you on that one. So yeah, the defensive type is... It just doesn't really get used. It doesn't have the... You know, I've said it a few times already. Doesn't have the offensive type's ability to just deal with frigates and destroyers really well. It doesn't have the ability to deal with cruisers particularly well. And its aircraft, anti-aircraft, isn't fantastic. There's no winged Hussar. So it's in a bit of a rough spot, to be honest. I don't really know what they need to change on this. Maybe if they don't, you know, give us the ability to have like a 50-60 armor destroyer on the assault type, maybe put it on this type at least. Then it might see use, and maybe a slight buff to its ability to deal with AA. Having an extra AA destroyer would actually be really nice, to be honest with you. So that is the Taurus. Again, it's a great ship, especially the A and B variants. C is a little bit lacking, but it can deal with some AA. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll catch you next time.